Hi, I'm Lucy A. McLaren, and here with our next mini interview with an indie author. This week we're joined by Jo Bahdo. Jo, over to you to introduce yourself.
Hi, hi to all introverts. My name is Jo, and I'm a writer. I mostly write poetry, but I've been trying to write longer pieces, exploring prose lately, and trying to just take up more space. Yeah, I'm also a big reader, a regular cinema goer. I think, the most comfortable in a cinema. um, and I am based in Switzerland. And yeah, obviously, I'm also a big introvert.
Great, thanks for joining us, Jo. So, can you tell us about your latest book, please?
My latest publication is secondary poems. I published this book in December 2023, and I am still happy with it, which is impressive because sometimes I write stuff and a week later I think it's nonsense. But I still stand by this book. I consider secondary poems a sequel to primary poems, but you could read both as standalones. Same concept applies to the poems collected. I try to organize them in a way that if you read from cover to cover, you should get a story out of it, but you could just open the book and read the poems, and hopefully you will enjoy them as standalone pieces too. Um, but yeah, it is, from the way I organized it, a story. It's actually a fictionalized love story that I had with someone. It was a way for me to process certain things, um, and it worked. But it was also, and this is the second thing that, or perhaps the main thing that the books explore, and which is the relationship that I personally had, or that people might in general have with the idea of love. So secondary poems is about understanding, like, what is this love, what is the idea of love, and expectations that a person might have. In which way can it become a toxic thing? So there is some heartache, there is desire, there are memories. It's, yeah, and yeah, and most importantly, there is like the unfolding of a relationship with oneself. um, yeah, it's 32 poems in total. It's not super long, um, but I also have a thing for not, I don't know, I think I wanted for the reader to be able to reread this multiple times. So if it, I wanted to make it like compact. And that's also the way I like poetry personally. Just um, I like to be able to reread the same more times without feeling like I still have 300 pages to go. Anyway, I think another interesting thing about secondary poems is that in chapter green I use two languages. The whole book is mostly in English, but in chapter green I introduce French, and that is an attempt to have a distinguishable second voice. And we have these two characters then speaking to each other in the same stanza and using two different languages, which is also, of course, a metaphor for, like, obviously they do not understand each other. Um, and yeah, I mean, for me personally, as a polyglot person, to be able to write the way I think, or more close to the way I think, which is in multiple languages, it's quite a cool experiment. And so far it's been well received. So yeah, I hope you might consider giving it a try, and then maybe let me know if you like the mix of the two languages. Um, yeah, I think I talked enough about secondary poems.
That's fantastic, Jo. I love the idea that of telling a story through poetry and processing your relationship you have with that person, and also exploring the idea of love too. It all sounds really interesting. So, what's your favorite line from the book?
One line, it's very tricky. It's true that there is not one whole poem that I really like from the whole book, but there are many lines. However, um, I do have a big thing for alliteration, so I decided I'm gonna read you this the beginning of a poem heliotrope that is in chapter purple. It stays in my poetry, in a drop of ink parting from my iris, merged with memories of midnight moans or Parisian pleasures. Stay in the dreams drawn at dusk, those same shades suiting our souls, now ripping apart my sense of touch. Almost tempted to read it all, but I'll stop here. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Jo. Can you tell us where we can buy secondary poems?
So if you're interested in how the poem continues or in the whole collection, secondary poems is available pretty much everywhere you get books, both as paperback and also as ebook. And if you happen to live in Zurich, you can also find it in some local bookstores. And if you do get it, please let me know. That would be really awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question is what inspired you to write secondary poems? I think you've touched upon this a little bit, but could you elaborate for us?
What inspired me to write secondary poems? I'm not sure it's necessarily inspiration, but well, I wrote primary poems, right? And then I knew that was incomplete, and I was still processing. I mean, both books. I didn't mean for the poems that are collected in there to be ever published. Actually, I did not write with the intention to then make it public. I just wrote because writing is my form of therapy for me. It's the way I process, it's the way I figure out what I really think, what I need. And with these poems, it was mostly about understanding what was going on in this relationship that I was in, what I wanted, what I needed, and then also let go of it and yeah, figure out a way to be by myself. And so initially I wrote because I just had the need to do all of this, to do this whole processing. And then publishing it became urgent once I had written everything and did my processing. I had this thing of like, okay, now I really need to let it go. I need it to not be mine anymore. And I was like, well, why not? I mean, I organized poems, I sent the manuscript and managed to get it published in a hybrid form, like hybrid contract, which made really sense for me at the time. So I could still have some control but also some support. And yeah, so I'm not sure it's inspiration as much as it was just a need. Yeah.
That's great. It sounds like it was a really therapeutic process for you to write secondary poems. So what would be your number one tip for writing a book?
Well, after publishing secondary poems, I had a long break from writing. Like, in fact, I haven't. I mean, I started other projects, I started other books, but I haven't really been able to be consistent with it until a couple of months ago. I rediscovered pen and paper, which happened to be also the tools I used to write the other previous two books. I don't know, I guess it's my ADHD. I kind of forgot how I work or what works best for me when it comes to writing. And I must say, pen and paper, at least for the first draft, just try to feel the process of writing as much as possible. For me, typing on a computer doesn't really work. It already creates a sort of distance, but physically having my hand writing down the words. As like it's like my brain and my hand connect, and like they're thinking together, and I'm much more in tune and into my process, and ideas flow much more ease. So yeah, pen and paper, I guess, is my tip number one for writing a book.
Great tip. I've actually been into writing on pen and paper myself lately, and yeah, it unlocks something different, I would say, to typing it out, certainly. Well, thank you for sharing that, Jo. Last question for you is how can we follow you and keep up to date with your latest books?
Currently, I'm not super active on social media. I'm on a break from Instagram, but I do have a Substack page that where I'm writing quite regularly, and I also have a website. And the Substack is Jo's Notes. You can also find me, I think, if you type my name, Jo Bahdo. So that's JOBHDO. And my website is also jobahdo.com. Um, yeah, like get in touch. I'll be super happy to hear from you. Yeah, always happy to have more people in the community. Thank you very much for having me, and I wish you all the best. Happy writing.
Thank you so much. And once again, thank you for joining us and sharing secondary poems with us. It's really been much appreciated. And thank you to everyone that watches Introverted Indies. Please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at Introverted Indies. Stay tuned for more book readings, author mini interviews, and panels coming soon.